Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Mashita binti Names. I come from KPA 243-5B. My topic for the presentation today is working in the team remotely while may work. Remote work is a conditions and practice in which an organization's employees do their job or work in a locations other than a main office or central building. This remote working began as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak that occurred in the recent year. This is due to the fact that during the epidemic, most employees who work in a location far away from their homes are unable to travel to work due to government restrictions on travel during the pandemic. As a result, the company may decide to allow their employee to move to work remotely from their office. To work remotely, we must build a remote workplace standards, which is remote workplace or telecommunicating is not a new nations, but the COVID-19 pandemic has hastened its global spreads. As a result, many businesses are beginning to see remote work as a viable alternative to traditional office-based work. Working remotely can also enhance productivity and job satisfaction since individuals have a greater freedom in managing their work-life balance and avoid the burdens of commuting to a physical office. Employer must, however, establish a clear communication channel and expectation to ensure remote workers remain connected and on track with their assignments or tasks of work that have been given to them.
Well, this had all of us talking. A new study looking at the pros and cons of remote work.
Economists at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York say young workers may be missing the power of proximity. Like this.
Now is Ben Castleman. He co-wrote the article and is an economics reporter for the New York Times. Things about your study, or about the study rather, is the power of proximity. Talk to us about what researchers say is that power.
This is some research that was based on a big tech company where they were actually able to measure the feedback that engineers received and gave to one another. And they found that when teams were split up across campuses or when, of course, we all went remote in the pandemic, that workers and especially young workers just got less feedback from their senior colleagues and from their bosses. And, I think this sort of captures something that maybe some of us know intuitively, but it's been tough to measure, right? Which is that a lot of career development and especially early career development comes through these sort of informal channels, right? It's seeing your colleagues working, it's asking them questions, it's them giving you advice, it's your boss giving you sort of little tips. And that can be really hard to replicate in a remote environment.
Yeah, I can imagine that, because one thing is, getting an official email, that's like a serious thing of something you did wrong. But if you run into someone and they can tell you, hey, I would have done it this way, it seems like a big gap. So does it start to feel now like companies are thinking that remote work was a mistake?
I mean, look, on some level, I think the genie is out of the bottle there, right? We know we're not all going back to the way things were before. And so I think what studies like this are important for is they start to figure out, what has actually been lost so that we can then start to figure out ways of actually adjusting that capture that. Some of these things that just happened organically, maybe now companies need to figure out ways to do more intentionally. We've learned how to give formal reviews or do hiring, some of these sort of formal processes online. Now we got to figure out ways to do some of the more informal processes because it's not happening in the way that it did in the past.
That's an interesting point, Ben. And obviously these are preliminary findings, but there were also advantages that came out of working remotely, particularly for women, for parents, for people who are non-traditional workers. When do you think we'll actually suss out the true impact of remote work and what will last for us?
Yeah, and I think this is part of what makes this issue so tricky, right? Is it's not remote work good or remote work bad, right?
The organizations must try to set a certain goal that can be shared by the entire workplace. This method can result in enhanced collaborations, motivations, and shared feeling of a purpose among the team members. It also ensures that everyone is working toward the same goals and priorities. It can be a goal-based as well as a guidelines in working, because if team members share the same goals, they will be more proactive and will know what has to be done to attain the goals. Each team member must have face-to-face engagements with another team member via virtual communications. The employee and team member must be aware of the time zones and work hour in order not to interrupt on the private or leisure time of either. When working with a colleague in a different time zones, it's critical to keep their working hour in mind and alter your schedule accordingly. This can help to promote good communications and collaborations with minimizing distractions and delay. Working remotely also helps to provide freedom and flexibility in the workplace, because each team member can perform or work on their own time. It gives people the freedoms and flexibility to work from anywhere at any time, which can lead to higher productivity and a better work-life balance. However, self-discipline and effective communication skills are also required to enable successful collaborations with the team member. Finally, we need to design some sort of accountability framework to raise each team member duty in carrying out their work professionally, even if they are working remotely and without oversights or restrictions from the main office. Accountability systems include frequent reporting, performance assessments, and audits to guarantee that individuals and organizations are held accountable for their actions and decisions. This procedure aids the promotions of openness, trust, and integrity across a variety of sectors, including government, business, and non-profit organizations. Thank you. That's all from me.